Greetings, I'm Nyarai. We are from Reflect Clothing and Apparel.
And we are most definitely in tune to BlackIceTV7. You can catch us info@reflectcouture.com.
Keep your head up, keep your head up. All the shit we been through, I know you fed up. This constant type of pressure, you ain't led up. This country should be happy we ain't teared up.
Nobody love us, let us not pretend, no. Let us gain our independence and let us not depend. They'll never stop us now, they couldn't stop us then. This country lucky that we only want equality and not revenge. We need to invest in each other, how much you got to spend? If I needed your help, my brother, how much you got to lend? You got a black business, I support you. I'ma buy black, the block I want us to buy back. I'm trying to buy that, I'm trying not to get shot at in Babylon with a cop at. I need to see an all black Amazon I can shop at. Stop that, cause a black man is king, black man is God. Any black celebrity quiet, that man a fraud. Cause they wanna leave us with no blessings. I seen blacks get beat peacefully protesting, leaving the street bleeding with no weapons, or get COVID treated with no testing. I'm squeezing with no questions.
Keep your head up, keep your head up. All the shit we been through, I know you fed up. This constant type of pressure, you ain't led up. This country should be happy we ain't.
Greetings, family. This is Terry Riggs, Mr. Riggs in the house. And, you know, today it is a celebration day. You know, it's something that we have to celebrate. And, you know, today is talking with the creatives. And, you know, it's something very special today, you know, that we're going to be celebrating someone that has passed, that has done some forms of creativity in the acting world. And she has passed away. So I'm just going to give a little introduction to her before we go into the meat and crust of what we have today. Something special. You know, we have to celebrate our creatives every day, every time, every place. You know, it's about the creatives. But before I do that, I'm going to go into the archives and just celebrate our creative people within our diaspora and African people on land. So, as I say that, let me just look for this for you, family, and then I will proceed. Okay. Hold on 1 second, family. We're just pausing for a minute. Okay, family. Now, it's just for it to come up, and then we can play it for you. Just bear with me, family. Sometimes these technical stuff, especially when you're doing it on your own and you're trying to get the best out of it. Where is it? There you go, family. So I'm going to put this up, and so you can able to see in its full duality. wanted to put something special up for Miss Tyson as she has gone into the ancestral realm, and we're going to sorry about that, family. It was just a little technical problem there. But yes, as I was saying, Miss Tyson has just recently passed away. So now we're going to go into another introduction before we actually bring in our special guests. You know, it's something that you have to always celebrate, and you have to celebrate all our creatives. All right. So please share, like, and subscribe to the family. Push it out there. Make sure that we can identify all family across the globe. So I'm going to do a little introduction video before we actually bring our special guests into the house.
Greetings. My name is Amanwa,
And I'm Nyarai.
and we are
Reflect Show. Reflect Couture is a children's clothing and apparel brand. We are a family business, a husband and wife duo. In our first season, long and short sleeve t-shirts,
hoodies,
cups,
bags. And I think initially what we wanted to do was just introduce the brand with just some basic apparel, just to introduce ourselves to the market and make people be aware. But we do plan on expanding our range within our second season. Yeah, so Reflect Control was really established because, you know, as parents, we was trying to find reflective imagery for our children growing up. What I mean by reflective imagery is just allowing our young people to see images that look like themselves. So, you know, we go into various shops, we're not going to mention any names, we go into various shops and we see, you know, fairies and just different types of imagery that didn't reflect us. And we find it so difficult to shop that way. And so we decided, you know, probably about 10 years ago, because we still see that there's a need. We still see that people still buy based out of necessity, rather than saying, I want this because it helps to reflect. And we really appreciate and understand the value of imagery and how that impacts on young minds and just minds in general. You know, we really feel about that was the real reasoning for us to really get this brand up and running. And hence the reason why the name is Reflect. You know, it's really reflecting that beauty that we have as a people.
We've had some wonderful, beautiful feedback about Reflect Couture. Many people saying that it's really something that's needed within the community. You know, that people see the importance and the need for what we're doing, and the fact that it's a family business, our children get involved, and, you know, we just really want young people to feel empowered and positive about themselves.
And I think as well, when you see that children are drawn to when we do our displays, I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So that children come over and, you know, the children test the power is quite powerful. You know, so I really love the fact that they're drawn to the imagery. Our flagship icons, our initial flagships are Zumi, the girl, and Messiah, the boy. And just the response is just being like, wow, this is just real engaging and powerful. And I think that is what's so rewarding. And I think when you see children gravitate towards it, it just really fills my heart. It makes you feel like, yeah, we've done something good there. I think having our daughter, our youngest daughter, involved throughout the promotional stuff and getting her take and feel on things. I think it's so important. But she's very outspoken. She's telling you she likes stuff. Mind you, she's getting to a point now. She's like, oh, I've got to wear that t-shirt again, and she's advertising. But I think the initial interest, especially when she's got her peers that are wearing it as well, they're doing some photo shoots. I think she really enjoys that, and really being part of that process. It's a good question. It's nice. It's nice. There's periods where we spend time with each other, and we're out and we're socializing and we're working and we're generating, and I love that. Getting to appreciate each other's viewpoint.
It's good to bounce ideas off each other, and just have that person pushing you to do more and achieve.
Yeah.
You can find Reflect Couture at www.reflectcouture.com. We're also on all social media at Reflect Couture. That's right.
Yes, you can find us at www.reflectcouture.
You can find us at. I'm sorry. You can find Reflect Couture at www.reflectcouture.com. Our social media handle is at Reflect Couture on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
That was some beautiful work. And you know what? I have to say, this is true black love, because without this true black love, we have to introduce our special guest into the house. You know, now you can see my pretty face. Before I introduce the family, you know what? I want to make them introduce themselves because of the liveliness that they have and the beautiful thing that they do. You know what? I can't wait. I'm going to introduce them. Welcome into the house, family.
Yeah. You good?
Yes, fantastic. The biggest duet I can ever think of. And you know what? This is you lot should be my mentor for my black family first, because economics, black love, you've all got it in one box. And the way with the kids, it's amazing. So how are we gonna start this? It's your honor to introduce both of you yourselves and to the public, and tell them about yourselves just at the beginning.
Yes. Cool. Take it away.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Nyarai. So, yes, I'm one half of Reflect Couture, one half of Reflect 9, queen of the family home. Good to be here tonight. I give thanks for being able to share some of myself, some of my family, some of our business with you. So yes, it's an honor to be here.
Yeah. You know one thing that I'm gonna say though, I don't like to use the word half, because it's supposed to be a whole.
Whole, yes.
Yeah. It's just there's just one.
Indeed.
So you become one and you stay as one. When you have half, there's a divider in between.
As there is sometimes, but anyway, but yeah.
So you start. Start.
No, indeed, very true. Very true. Words are so important.
So, you know, who's going to go first? Because we want to this is about talking with the creatives, and you know, I want to show people the passion of your creativity, because that's what you've built upon, even to create in your household, to create in your business, create in your family. So, you know, you both come from two separate journeys to come together to making it one big journey. So which one of you is going to go first? And just give us your childhood journey. Let's start from, I always say, you know what? Your creativity, right? It starts from the age of 15. When you think back what you liked when you were 15 and look at what you do now, you see the similarities.
Yeah, word. I think you're 100% right. And I think one of the things I will start off by saying is that we've been... Oh, you want to change myself? All right. My name is Amanoir. Multiple creatives. One of the things that we're working on at the moment is really linking the amount of people I know who do multiple things. So we're not one-dimensional. We do multiple things. And so our connection actually was one of those creative spaces that we met from teenage. And that was in the dance world. So we've been together for 28 years, 29 years. See how she quick me quick there? You see how quick she was right after that. Yeah, but 29 years we've been together. But our creativity and our connection came from the dance world. So we used to dance. I ran a dance company, very successful dance company actually, over 3 generations. And then that kind of evolved into where I began doing spoken word. Nyara has always been doing vocaling and singing and those sorts of things. So there's always been a creative element and connection between us. And it's one of the things that I always express when we talk about couples being together, is that sometimes you forget what it is that brought you together, your likes or the thing that was similar. Especially if you're spending a long time together, you know, it's easy as you grow and you evolve and you develop. Sometimes you can forget what brought you together in the first place. And it's running any business. If you run a business with somebody else, you know, that initial idea and that initial connection that you have with them, it's so important that you keep that as your foundation for where you want to build and where you want to go. So our creativity has always been something that's connected us, and it's always been something that we have recognized that there's more strength in 2 rather than 1. And that goes across the board. I mean, I'm sure we'll touch upon it, but that goes across the board. So that's primarily how we began our journey, and where we are today is obviously amplification of how we can bring an idea and a concept from a creative element and put that into, you know, other parts of our life, Ujama, Ujima, being able to recognize the power of cooperative economics and economic collectivity and all of those sorts of things, how we can actually benefit on that. So that's primarily how we came together and where we're at now. So yeah, I mean, you know,
so in the dance hall, let's get into this next. we have to go in because you know, when you say dance hall, what type of era are we talking about? You know, the dance hall has different eras.
All right. So first of all, we're dance hall.
The dance time, no real business.
I thought you were funny. That's what I'm saying.
Was it a bit of the Bogle times, or was it?
All them, you understand? Butterfly, Armstrong, everything did go on them days. But our thing was actually more to do with hip hop and street dance. What street dance, and then, you know, things before that like break dance and swing beat and all those sorts of stuff is, you know. So we got, and that was the initial thing. And again, when we look at the journey of hip hop, you know, you know, when we first got into those sorts of things, it was obviously hip hop was seen as a fad. You know, it will come and it will go. And so those connections, if you look at how long longevity of hip hop has been, it's very parallel. We look at it as a parallel for our own life in regards to, you know, the longevity of looking at how phases come in and out. So, you know, you speak to people about hip hop, depending on their age, they will be able to give you a little bit of a background of what they know about hip hop. So yeah, it was definitely the hip hop world. It was definitely dance from that perspective. But we did go to 2 dance too, still, you know, bust to 1 minute.
it kind of makes sense, because if you're talking about the swing beat era and you're talking about the hip hop era, right? Bright clothes were really popular back then. So the yellows and the purples and the pinks. So and what I can see behind you, it makes sense on the colours, on the transition of what you're wearing like this and what you're doing right now. So you see how our past has a massive influence.
Most definitely.
Indeed. The vibrancy of colours, you know, TLC were quite, you know, that was a bit further down the line, but you know, the bright that's us anyway. That's us anyway. We bring vibrancy,
people.
You know. Right. So
and I can even talk about like the good old 8-ball jacket.
Oh my gosh.
The click suit. You know about click suit?
Yeah, they were all bright colours.
That's right.
So it's getting to understand the concept. But what from dancehall, what encouraged you to even go into that factors of fashion? Because that's another creative mind going from one concept to going to another. Or do you say they go parallel, hand in hand?
Go ahead.
I would say they go hand in hand. I think we were always, you know, if we look at individually, we were quite fashion conscious anyway. I did a lot of modelling back in the day. I mean, our dance world consisted of, you know, we would do the shows, but we would also dance at fashion shows and all of those things. So we was always sort of involved in those sorts of worlds. In terms of it coming about, really it came about when we had our first daughter and looking for clothes that really she could identify with. And this was, we're going back 20 years. So this idea came about 20 years ago because we could find nothing, you know.
You had to go to America to find it.
Yeah, you're right, brother. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So at that point, we had the idea to create something for children that they, you know, would see in themselves. You know, this is me, and we're talking about, we've started with clothes. That's just actually the start of what, you know, clothes, bags. What our starting point is just the start of really what we want to do, because there should be everything that you can get for another child should be available for our children in the image of themselves.
But you see, when you found things very difficult to find, wouldn't you say like you tapped into your creativity to finding something that was able to suit your criteria? So in that period of time that you was looking, what would you say your criteria of fashion was at that time?
For me, something that represented culture. You know, you want that. We wanted that imagery, but we wasn't finding it. So then, you know, the only other alternatives were African clothes, really. So African fabrics, which we had a lot of, and we still have a lot of at the time. It's very important for us to, you know, to be adorned in our cultural attire. But the imagery was not something that we was seeing on, you know. Because
in saying that, I don't know if you remember like the De La Soul type and what do you call it? What's the rhymes group called? Leaders of the New School.
Yes.
And that time period, they would wear these like level medallions with the African thing and the hat, level hat, kind of where they try to improvise their own fashion.
That's right.
In that time of era, because if we're talking 20 years ago now, we're talking just before the 2000s. Really, time has gone. But saying that, we're coming towards the late 90s and the 80s and the 2000s. So that would be kind of like the FUBU era. So when we talk about the FUBU, we're talking about the LL Cool J's and all that kind of stuff. But there was a slight influx. But do you find that sometimes we're influenced by the media and what we see that makes us kind of look upon black clothing at a certain period of time?
Now, go on.
Because there was black clothing, but it's
There
just
was
that
that moving, yes, and I think that the alternative was to support black business. I think for what stood out for me around that time was probably you might find the odd T-shirts with, you know, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, prominent figures, but not really much for children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. It was that for adults, I think there was always options available. So, you know, I'm thinking, you know, during a time when you started to recognize, especially in music videos, you start to realize that people weren't going for the usual brands and Nike and Adidas and all that. And you start to see other brands coming in, and it made you just start thinking about, you know, a lot of people didn't even realize that some of these brands were their own brands. And then you start to see where, you know, logos are being faded out of videos and blurred and all those sorts of things. And then you start to realize because they are promoting themselves. And that's when you start to realize that, you know, people had already started this thought process way back in terms of this is either my brand or you know, one of the close homies brands that we're promoting, rather than looking at promoting any other stuff. Like, you know, obviously Run DMC had a particular branding with the A brand. You understand what I mean? So I think for children, though, I think that there was a slight miss for that. And children wasn't necessarily included in that unless you particularly found someone who was doing some bespoke stuff. So I feel as though for children, it was very much a missing. And I think what we have recognized is that if we really want to have an influence on the next generation, we need to start with the younger ones. We need to start with them being able to recognize positive images of themselves from very young. And so that's where I feel there is a slight difference and a slight break in passing over and handing over that baton.
So what I'm galvanizing from that is that, you know, with the young ones, and there's a situation that I've always said, because when it comes to economics, I always talk about financial education, because we can set up shop today and make it the biggest shop, but if we're not able to teach our children the financial situation, it can, once you pass it on, it can go downhill. Have you come across them kind of hurdles when you was growing up?
100%. I mean, I try to think back to growing young, and like, I mean, we just use examples of superheroes. You know, as children, you tap into superheroes, and you know, Superman, Batman, whatever your imagery is, it's always of Europeans, 100%. So the baton definitely wasn't handed over in regards to pride of self, and I don't fault necessarily my parents' generation for that. I know their primary goal was food, clothing, and shelter, but I do recognize that within my generation, and in our collective generation, it's our responsibility to be able to restore those sorts of things. So I do believe that we're living in a time now where if those traditions weren't handed over, then we need to, you know, reforge those. We need to be able to find that connectivity that we can hand over to the next generation, because it becomes so crucial and so critical to hand over that baton. So, you know, although it may seem as though it's 2021, 2020 or 2018, 19 when we started doing this, the concepts in regards to how important it is has always been there. It's always been something that I feel, you know, if we don't do it, how are we going to instill self-pride from a very young age? You know, I recognize that within books is one of the areas that I've seen an improvement over the years in terms of that no one should be arguing about not having access to black books. That shouldn't even be an argument again, because we have that. But I do recognize that advertising, we are walking advertisements. When we walk and we travel and we go places, we have an influence. So even as someone who purchases a t-shirt or hoodie or whatever, they are serving a purpose of advertising self-pride as they move, as their children move and go around the world. So I think these are the reasons why handing over the baton in those situations becomes so crucial and so critical in these times.
Yeah, and you know, it makes sense in the fact that because I do advertising myself, and I do it quite a lot, because I do a lot of advertising campaigns, and what a lot of people don't realize the extent of advertising is the fact that if we look at a designer label, and I can ask someone, you know what, I say to them, okay, what is Gucci special? And I guarantee you, most of the people that wear it do not even know what their specialist is.
Right.
And the reason why I say that, because their special field is where their highest income comes from. So when I say to people, oh, well, Gucci is to deal with what we call suitcases, they say, no, all the t-shirts and the shoes and I say, hold on. The reason why they brought couture, and majority of the time, the reason why they bring couture is that you become a walking billboard. In the fact that it's couture really is promotional wear.
Word.
Where they're supposed to be giving it to you for free.
That's right. That's right.
But what they come to the market is that, oh, we can sell the promotional wear for a reasonable price. So now, to them, so if I sell that t-shirt for £200, how much would their briefcase cost?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
The advertising the marketing tool that they use. Yeah. But because wearing a kind of a street cred mind, most of us can't afford that handbag or that suitcase.
Yeah.
It's beyond our means most of the time. But what we do is we look for the alternative, because that brand is like an approval. So now, when we talk about that, it now puts their brand into perspective of the people's eyes, in that they think that if I have a good, it's official. So then when it comes to the black brand now, they look at that and they say, I would like to invest in it, but really, does it make me official? Because what you find, especially in certain communities, in the black communities, they will buy your tops, but how many of them will actually wear it on a regular basis?
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
So that's what, and this is what I was trying to find out. And for you and people that come to you, do they buy it out of the intentions of just buying it because they see a beautiful couple and they see what you're doing and they say, yeah, the black pound, or are they buying it for their comfortability and that they want to wear it?
It's a good question.
Yeah, I would say it's a combination of both. From the feedback that we get, you know, especially our repeat customers, they see the quality. Yeah, a lot of them buy it for their children, and they're repeat customers, so they like what they, you know, they like brands. And then you get others that are sort of drawn into, oh, it's a black couple, let me see what they're about. You know, normally they get a good vibe. Normally. So yeah, I think definitely both. I would like to think it's more of the quality and they like the brand, and because, you know, when you think about what is out there, there's not really, especially in the UK, we haven't found anyone doing anything similar to what we're doing. So in that sense, we're unique.
But yeah, I'm a bit more skeptical, I guess. I think that it is more supporting us. I don't think that, you know, I think it takes a little while to establish something where, you know, you're walking past and you see someone wearing something, and that's what it takes. It takes for people to see other people wearing it, and then people question that. So I think it's more a level of support of us and what we're doing, and you know, especially when they see some of the children and the children's wear, and you know, I think it's more that level. I think the credibility comes when someone starts to say, look, you know, I want that because I want that in my video, or, you know, which we have had a few people actually say that to us, you know, I want that. Have you got bigger logo? Because I want it to come out clearer in the video and blah, blah, blah. So those are the sorts of things that I think until we establish ourselves a little more, we still feel quite new. It's only been 2 years that we've been doing it. So it feels new. We're still learning. We're still developing. We're still trying to understand a lot of things. So at this stage, I think it's primarily people are more supporting us. And the more
because they like
research,
the brand though.
okay. Well,
But, you know, in saying that, right, and from a marketing advertising perspective, for me, when I see that what you got to do and what I've seen so far, in that people are buying it because of you, I think that should be your core marketing. Because number one, we're always promoting black family. Number two, we're always promoting black couples. Well, number three, we're always promoting kids. So that is a whole family genre. So in forms of your methods of following what the family's doing and how the family's doing things, even you just wearing it on that perspective. So like if your kids, you're taking your kids to school or you're doing homeschooling and they've got their little rucksack, subliminally, they're not looking at exactly what that bag is, but I just want that bag. Because when they see the kids pulling out the books and they're seeing the activities with the clothesline, then I can actually relate to that. And that's what, for me, I can see that in that if you run with that, then there's more of a door opener than trying to create a brand and making them consume into that brand. Because sometimes that brand, they may not want to consume in it, but then once someone has done a repetition of something, they pull themselves in.
Yeah. And I think, sorry, brother, no, I don't want to cut you.
No, go on, continue.
I think that is it, and it's interesting because we have like business mentors around us that have said exact same thing. Like, listen, you lot are playing. You lot should be doing some lives every day. It's meant to be a series. People are meant to be following you lot around when you wake up in the morning because people buy you before they buy your brand. And we understood that from a long time ago. But I know that we are both quite private people in certain aspects, and we've always struggled with the idea of constantly being on camera, constantly doing those sorts of things. And that's just us in terms of interacting with media and social media in that sense. However, I think we've developed more of an understanding that, well, hold on, we control the narrative. So if we control the narrative, then we put out as much or as little as we want. So, you know, we've been able to develop more of a strategy, especially over this last month, because we've literally taken a month out just to realign and think about how we're going to do this, and how we're really going to progress. So more of these sorts of things, more of our lives. We started off doing more lives. We started to follow some of the stuff that our youngest does because she's very active, and she's got a lot to say at 6 years old. So, you know, she's ready to really be our number one brand ambassador in that sense, because I know that whenever we put any videos of her up, then we notice that we get far more intake on those sorts of things. So we're very much aware of it. It's just how much we buy into that at this stage. So I'm 100% with you, bro. I'll get that.
Oh yeah, because that in looking at that in a certain way is, especially in the acting world, it's knowing how to step into a character and knowing how to step out of a character. And if you create a concept, and you know the greatest thing is creating a story. And a story can last for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, depending on how long you want your story to last. But there's a concept. So you might say, okay, 9 o'clock every morning, between 9 and 10, we're going to be walking down the park with a different outfit. And then we talk about a story while we're walking down that park. And you keep that narrative and leave that narrative on its own. So when you're doing other things, that narrative is still there where you can keep on doing, where you can step into that character and step out of that character. But now let's get back to the understanding of the creativity, because now you said that you couldn't find the clothes. What was your next step in the fact of that you couldn't find nothing and your next step of moving forward?
So the next step was really about creating something. So for me, it was, you know, I can't draw. Yeah, he's the artist. And at the time, I was like, I need someone to draw some images of children. We did at that time get distracted, I would say, with our family circumstances at the time, having a child, so you get distracted sometimes. But it was always sort of in the back of our mind, sort of building up ideas of the things that we wanted to have in the brand. So when we was ready, and then got his handy artwork out and created some images. We have a wonderful sister, Loretta Prince and Stones on Instagram, who really supported us in being able to source some quality clothing. So it was really about...
Sorry, just to interrupt that, but I think what she also did was to open our options. She gave us ideas of what we could do, because I think we was quite one-dimensional initially, but I think she broadened that and said, look, you can do this, 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 and this. So as we started to speak with more people, it started to broaden, what was possible.
So in forms of your artwork, and you said you drew something or you put something down. What was your, before she even broadened your mind, you said you was one-dimensional. What was your angle at that time?
T-shirts. It was
now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, it was just like T-shirts. And then within doing the T-shirts or thinking about the idea of the T-shirts, she started to make us think seasonal. And then she was saying, well, you ain't going to want T-shirts in the winter. So you might want to, do some of these then. Then you might want to do long sleeve T-shirts. Then you may want to think about hoodies. And then you also need to think about boy and girl in terms of your imagery. So rather than having one design, maybe have a boy and a girl. And then the idea is that we develop a series, which is what we're in the process of doing right now. But I think that the original concept was just mono colors, black, white, just get it out. Because sometimes you take long to do something because you feel like you haven't got everything in its space. I mean, we've only developed color over the last 18 months or 12 months because we recognize that that's where when we really want it to go. But when you start bringing color in, that then amplifies your storage, right? Because you just had black and white, now you have green, yellow, pink. Someone wants a 9 to 11, someone wants a 1 to 2, so your stock. Yeah, if we turn the camera around, boy, you will see the stock room right now. You understand what I mean? So that's what it becomes. And so, we have to then invest in ourselves a little more. But initially, that's what it started with. It's literally of the characters and just doing T-shirts. That was it.
Okay. So, but before that T-shirt, there's something that just came to my mind. You said you did the artwork. Yeah?
Right.
How did you do the artwork? Did you do it on a computer or did you actually draw it out?
Okay, so I'm old school, yeah? So I realize now that I could have done a lot of it on the computer, but I'm old school. It had to come from drawing freehand and then transferring it to digital. So when I was at school, if I'm honest, that was probably one of the main areas that I wanted to go into. Art. And this is quite an interesting story. I wanted to do art when I left school. And I went to college, and I remember waiting in the art room for the interview. And I remember looking at other people's artwork. And I'm talking about people, there was some proper drawings, my little hand drawing and my little stuff just paled in significance. I was like, you know what? Maybe this ain't for me. And that speaks volumes about not having confidence in yourself, not having confidence in your ability to say, you know what? I can do this. So I gave up. I was like, art is, there's no money in art. We're going back, obviously the late 80s. So, I wasn't looking at doing no art. I didn't know all the graphic design, all those sorts of things were all in the future per se. So that art, that creativity of being able to draw and have an idea of taking something from your mind and drawing it, freehand with pencil. That's how I started. And then I knew I can use Photoshop and those sorts of things. So I said, all right, if I can make this digital, it will make it a lot easier for me to manipulate colors and simplicity. So again, a learning process, just being able to teach yourself and recognize, all right, maybe these rough edges need to be bold so that it's easier to print. And what do we want to make it? Do you want to make it detailed with shading, or just make it one monocolor. And I think for children, doing a little bit of research, monocolor works well because it's just solid. As they get older, they start to develop more of a want for the shades and everything else, where you get a little bit more detail. But I didn't want to go too much down that road. So that's how it started, literally from hand drawings, you know, literally.
Because, you know, in me saying that, right, you just mentioned something about your confidence. And one thing that I've learned in the fact is that the value only comes from the buyer. The buyer is what makes it valuable. Without the buyer, your thing could be worth nothing and it can be worth something. Right. So by me saying that, in the fact of your artwork, why have you made like stills of characters?
Yeah. Of
artwork? Because where I'm going to now is exploring your creativity. So think about it like this. If I am making a t-shirt and I'm selling the t-shirt of the print for £50, I put it on a piece of art frame, how much would I charge it?
Oh, good question. Good question. I guess it changes. Everything else has its price. And I think this is interesting because one of the things that I was learning on the journey was about exactly the same thing, is that art, when you go to art exhibitions and those sorts of things, what I class as art, you may say that's a load of rubbish. How can you charge that? But it just really depends. It very much depends on the environment that I'm going in. So if I was to take some of the older stuff I did, I used to do trainer designs. This is like 14, 15, maybe even younger than that actually. And these trainer designs, I used to do pages and pages and pages of them, not recognizing that now you can go onto these big brands now and design your own trainers doing the same thing that I was doing there. So it's about whether my concept is taken into the 21st century or whether it's something that I leave on a t-shirt. So in terms of the platform on the canvas really depends on the upsell, I guess. You know, so if we was, again, things that we've spoken about that we haven't done was about doing posters, was about doing the books, was about doing a series that told the story of these individual characters and their journeys. So there's so much that goes with it, but it's almost like if we didn't start in one place, we wouldn't be where we are now, you know, because you're trying to get everything out at the same time. And sometimes you just need to start, forget everything else, just start. So all of those ideas of moving it to a different canvas and different platform, definitely in the pipeline. But again, it's understanding that, you know.
Yeah, because as I said to you, the artwork is once you put it onto that canvas, say, you know what, or 2010, and it becomes a classic. It becomes a classic, and that classic is what will sustain or give it some of price and some of quality. Because now, if I'm selling t-shirts with that print and then I'm selling the and I have that painting, I could put that in auction, and you know what, I can even do it in the fact of, okay, whoever goes for the highest bid for this exclusive painting, the money gets donated to a school or to something, because what you're doing is you're marketing your product in the forms of advertising, because at the end of the day, it's even not about profit, it's sustaining and giving it a long-term longevity of your clothesline.
I like that, brother. I like that.
Yeah, so in the fact of now that you've got to the t-shirts, what was the next stage?
Oh gosh, what was the next stage? What came after the t-shirts? The bags and cups. The bags and cups came next, and then the coloured long sleeve pink and orange premium tops, and that was just because we started with the black and white, so it was like, no, we need some vibrancy.
And the baby rose.
Yes, and baby. Some of it actually was dependent on what customers were requesting. So, you know, if we had a good amount of customers saying, yeah, we want some baby grows, we would look at what, you know, what baby grows were available, what kind of colours, and then that was the start of that range. So,
but in addition to that as well, I think we initially was only meant to do from newborn to like 5 years old. Right. That was it.
Yeah.
You know, that was the initial starting point. And so, you know, being able to, you know, someone then said, all right, I want a 6-year-old. He said, all right, we'll buy a few of the 6. And then someone said, oh, I want an 8-year-old. And you're like, all right, we'll buy the 8, but there's no point buying the 8 if we don't buy the 7. So we'll buy the 7. And then we realized, you know what, just go up to teens. And then someone said they wanted adults, and then we was like, oh gosh, so we might as well just do the whole full range. And so,
right.
You know, as much as we take credit for creating the ideas, it really has come from some people saying, look, what about, you know, have you considered, you know, I would really like this. And that's really taken us, in a way, if we're honest, that's taken us slightly away from where we were initially going, which has got its positives and negatives. But at the same time, recognizing that, you know, sometimes you have to listen to what customers are saying. You have to listen to what people are saying, because if it was up to me, I dress in black all the time. You understand what I mean? And so I'm good. But I realize that some people don't like dressing their children in black. So, you know, we have to think broader than just self.
As they always say, don't wear black to a funeral. Because we keep on using it as a form of uniform. When we're supposed to be celebrating a life, we're always celebrating something of downwards, and because they made that color into a negative way, it kind of puts that into the mental psyche.
Yeah.
But I want to get to the next side of it, because what we've said so far, a lot of people say, "Oh, but yeah, these people have got it so easy, and that must have been so simple." But when you first started, is this number one? Is this you have you taken this on a full-term or full-time business, or you're working something parallel to it, in the fact that it's not as easy as it looks?
Definitely not as easy as it looks. A lot of it comes down to finances. You have to have enough capital to invest to be able to expand your brand, and you know, just even sourcing the ethical clothing, you know, it just takes a lot of capital, which you know, when you're starting out, I mean, we're really not seeing any returns as such, because we keep reinvesting in new stock, new items. So you have to allow for that to build up before you can actually start seeing the profits come through. So yeah, a lot of it is capital. So at the moment, no, it's not full time.
But yeah, but again, the idea is that so we take a lot of parts of our life as work. So when we're doing stuff with the children, that's work. When we're working, you know, I'm an education consultant, that's work. When we're husband and wife, that's work. So it's never a full-time thing on anything, let alone this business. And so the idea is for us to be able to generate enough of a turnaround to keep growing. And that's the honest truth. We're not even looking for it to be anything more than that at this stage. We want to be able to know that we have now invested so much in this that it's taking care of itself. We want to invest in something else. That's not a problem. And I think getting to that stage is part of the hard work and the progress. And again, speaking to a lot of the business mentors that we have around us, you know, they will give us examples of, you know, your first year is just where, you know, a lot of businesses go flat in the first year because they give up, because there's so much hard work and dedication and sacrifice that you have to give, and so much that you have to, you know, put aside to be able to do those sorts of things. And as we started off by saying, we're creatives. So as much as I want to spend time doing Reflect Couture, I also want to do Reflect 9, because that's part of my heart. That's where my love is. That's where my passion is, music and those sorts of things. But for me to do that, something else has to stop. Something else has to be sacrificed. And that might even be, you know, our time. You know, that might even be doing as much that we was doing with some of the children. There's always a price to pay. So it's never easy. It's never straightforward. And I always tell people, you know, be transparent enough to say, this is the reason why I think that when we look at people who are successful in inverted commas, I think that is what it's about, is that success is about you recognizing, wow, we had to sacrifice this to achieve that. And some people don't see none of that. They don't see it. And I get it. You know, so people don't see the value in it.
Yeah, because as Black Eyes TV, our motto is the fact that it's Black family first, in the form that hashtag Black family first. And one thing that we've understood about family is the first government. Whether how you see it or how it works, in the fact that you're going to be able to have that powerhouse, in the fact that someone's going to do the washing, someone's going to do the sweeping, someone's going to do the cooking, someone's going to do the gardening, someone's going to do something within the household, maintaining the house. Because if everyone falls out, the house is not going to be maintained and it's going to collapse. So, in looking at the direction you're going, my father always gave me this. He used to say to me, you know, it's just like, it doesn't matter what you're selling. If you have this in mind, like, okay, for instance, you selling a pen. Now that pen, if I make £1 profit from that pen, all I've got to do is buy 1 million pens. And I know that I want to make £1 profit. So if I sell 1 million pens, I'm going to have £1 million. So to me, if I want to be able to understand that, I don't mind being patient enough to wait 5 years or even 10 years to sell in that pen, all them pens.
Right. Right.
And that is what we call focus. If you're able to focus and give yourself time in the fact that, okay, I'm working, but I'm making that little profit, but that profit I cannot touch. 10 years time, your children will reap that reward of what you've made. But you see, our mindset is always sometimes goes into that thing of, oh, let me just quickly spend it on this, or let me quickly go and buy this, or let me quickly go and do that.
That's right.
And that's the biggest mistake we make, because most of the time we end up buying what we don't need.
Word. But this is the reason why, again, you know, I look at, you know, as I grew up, the idea of how you spend your money and how you fashion, how you buy your fashion. You know, I was, as a child, I was given certain amount of money to go and buy clothes. Some of my brethren will go and buy. Them days it was like Chippy and Chevron and certain brand names. And you buy a one Chippy trousers, it was £40. Boom, money gone. And then you realize, hold on a second, if I go to the markets then and I know how to put my stuff together, then I can go and, you know, spend a good £30, come back with a whole heap of bags and still have money left over. So that creativity again, you know what I mean, of how you put your stuff together and recognizing that I don't need to, if I wear me, I wear Reflect Control all the time because I realize I'm comfortable in this. You know what I mean? I can do a nice t-shirt, I could do a normal shirt, I could do a jacket. There's so many things that I invest in myself. I don't need to wear brand name. I really don't. And so we save that sort of money and we recognize that I don't need to spend money on those sorts of things. You know what I mean? Not one of us in this house has any Gucci, Louis Vuitton. We don't have any of them things there. And that's just primarily because we realize that we want to keep the money in-house, even if it's just within our community, to be able to say, we know where our money's going and we're not spending extortionate for things that we don't need. Yeah, there's other things I do spend extortionate for. That is my own personal vices. Do you understand what I mean? Which we all have. Do you understand what I mean? We all have a little fashion things that we like or cars or whatever it is. But I realize that if we have our own creativity and we invest in ourselves and we think a bit more about how we spend our money. I was always told that, you know, saving is just as good as gaining money. Do you understand what I mean? If you can save, that makes sense. If you're saving for something, yeah, it's an investment. So 100%, King, I hear that.
Yeah, because you know, if you ask 100 kids today, how many of them have got a piggy box? They probably can't answer.
What's
I remember when I was young and you used to go into the bank and the bank will give you these little trinkets when you join the bank. You get a little fee and you used to put your pennies and everything in it. But then you wonder where it's gone.
Piggyback get raid, boy. Yeah, man.
But we had a mindset back then. But what I'm finding today is that it's like money grows on trees. And literally, I mean money grows on trees. Where even when the parent has cut back, the child is advanced even more forward. Word.
Yeah, peer pressure.
And that pressure alone is so difficult. How have you felt it with your children today? In the fact that there's things that you don't want to buy it, but you just have to buy it.
We definitely feel it. I don't know about the have to buying it part yet, but there's definitely negotiation, and it's definitely peer pressure. There's, you know, a lot of the time we find is they're not really thinking about, okay, how much does this cost to make? How come these people are selling it at such an extortionate price? Where am I gaining in this process? Because there's no gain for them, you know. There's no, you know, when you look at maybe whether these companies are putting any programs on for young people to learn any skills or anything like that, there's no gain for them. It's all about profit. So I think a lot of the young people now don't really think that broadly unless it's kind of you have to kind of really remind them, you know, why do you want this thing? Why do you want to spend your money with these people? So when I say about, you know, I don't know about actually buying it, because there can be talk and discussion, but yeah.
Reasoning.
In looking at that, and just looking at that perspective of the children and how you've moved your business, but then what would you say is your true forte, or what you actually specialize in within your brand? Your specialist, because a lot of people we could do 1,000,001 things, but what do you actually focus on?
It's a good question, because as I said before, I think we're still learning, and we're still trying to understand our strengths. We're still trying to understand what it is that we do well and what we could do better in. So I think we're still really developing a true understanding of that, rather than me, you know, putting something out that I'm not 100% on. I think we're still developing. But what I do understand is that we, you know, I'm very child orientated in regards to, I've worked with young people for 30 years, or 29 years I've been working with young people. So understanding young people, I think, is really the specialty. And so, for example, we understand what parent pester power is. We understand what it's like when children come over to the stall and they have a look, and you can see they're trying to get their parent to buy something. You know, we try to recognize what the parent might be going through. Like, oh my gosh, I brought you out to this market fair, and my child is just going to want to brock me buying everything from every store. And so we can sympathize with that. We can empathize with that. And so, you know, being able to communicate with parents real time, I think what we've developed, I would say, is a real strong point. Just understanding what the child is experiencing and what the parent is experiencing. Yeah. How we translate that online is a different matter. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's very difficult to be able to do that, but we do recognize that there are different platforms for us to be more involved in that will really reap our benefits in terms of our knowledge of what children are looking for in the eye. So when we see children are drawn, when they're walking around, they're drawn to our imagery, there's something about the imagery, which is what I'm looking at now in terms of drawing these next characters. There's something within the drawings that we recognize that's a pull. There's something about that pulls these children to these particular images, whether it's the hair, whether it's the eyes, whether it's the full lips, whatever it is, there's particular things that are drawn to those sorts of things. So I think that's primarily our specialty. But as I said, we're still developing an understanding of where we're at, to be honest, you know?
Okay. So at the moment, would you say that you follow more towards your demands, or do you follow more towards what you've created?
I'll say what we've created more. I think there was a period where it was two demands, but the development, you know, the new things that we've added is definitely a matter of, yeah, we wanted these things to be part of the brand, and we're still building up that interest. So it's not necessarily about the interest, really, in that respect.
Yeah, and again, we are going through a rebrand at the moment, literally. So as I said, this month we took the first month of this cycle out just to be able to just rethink, realign, reaffirm, and reflect on where we are, you know, because I think it's important that we start recognizing that, you know, it's very easy to be pulled left and right from demand and not recognizing what you truly want to do. And so you can be spread quite thin sometimes when you're pulled all over the place. And when we started an adult and teen range, which was quite difficult, and we invested a lot in doing that. And it wasn't something that we primarily did. I'm glad we did it though. But we're realizing now that there's some finer things that we did forget about from the initial plans that we wrote down that we're going back to, and making sure that we're always, you know, returning to our foundation of what our initial ideas were.
So what kind of things are we expecting for Reflective Couture for the future?
Right.
Woo! So yeah, new images.
Listen, you don't want to say too much. I know you're trying to hold. The reason why is
hold on. You know what? Let me hold back for a second, because I know there's one creativity you haven't even spoken about.
The music, yeah.
Oh, so when was you gonna say that?
Well, we were just talking about Reflect Couture right now.
But part of the creativity, because as you said, and you said it by rights, that you went from the dancing to fashion, but dancing has a consistency of other creativities. So, and I can see behind you, my eyes can see a guitar.
Go on, Mr. Rick, on it.
So I know from previous, do you combine your fashion and music together?
We have recently. It's not something that we did before, but we have recently, and that will be sort of showcased quite soon as part of our launch.
Yeah, talk to me, man.
As part of our launch of Reflect 9.
What is that?
Reflect 9. So Reflect 9 is us.
Yeah.
They're looking at me like
Come on, man. Part the thing, man.
So yes, combining my vocals with spoken words. Something we've both done. You know, Amin's been doing spoken word for over 20 years. I've been singing for a bit longer than that, really. So I stepped away from singing for a while, so I've kind of dipped in and out occasionally. Featured on quite a lot of Amin's earlier work. But yeah, we just decided to just release something together. Let's just stop, you know. We have these I don't want to call it talent. We have these gifts that we've always been working on and not really released. So yeah, Reflect 9 is here.
You know what the thing is? The funniest thing is, I see loads of gifts, and you know, I'm gonna put you on the spot. I want a minute exclusive. So if I get the guitar quickly, and put the vocals, and then put the bag in the middle, we can have a joint. This is called marketing purposes.
And you know the thing is, we would have put it here, you know, we would have put it right here, but we said no, let's be cool with it.
No, you know what it is. At the end of the day, is getting people to understand who you are and get to know your brand and that kind and all that kind of stuff. You know, so I'm always asking people to promote yourself as much as possible. You know, make sure you go to all their social medias, as you saw previously on the video, and their website, as you see on the adverts. As this program will be premiered again on our main channel on Sunday, so people that don't get to see it today will get to see it on Sunday as well. So I'm trying to get as many creatives as possible, but I want everyone to be a certain distinctive from the other. That's the reason why I'm still asking for my exclusive.
Well, I thought you'd forget still, you know.
The guitar is behind you now. You should never...
We have a tune up and thing.
One spoken word lyric and a thing. That's good enough.
See, we've already. All right, we'll do something quick. Yeah, we'll do something quick. I mean, this is just something that
duet. Just give us a little duet on the spoken word.
All right. We've already been warned and advised by the wise. We've already been warned and advised by the wise. We've already been warned and advised by the wise that when the revolution comes, the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be. The revolution will not be on TV, DVD, CD, tape, or vinyl. See, the truth about revolution is that revolution will be beamed live via your nervous system, through your arteries into your spinal. Revolution shall mean no more excuses while you sit and dream. Revolution shall mean no more sitting on the fences, make your allegiance and back your team. For the revolution will not be financed by small industries. It will be backed by grassroots organizations who will devise and advise. The revolution will not be served with cocoa fries or not be caught on cameras by skies in skies. Therefore, the revolution will be unavailable for CNN, Sky News, and BBC 24. For the revolution will be transmitted to the 85% who are hungry, needy, homeless, poor, and can't take no more. The revolution will be sent at the subsonic frequency of 913 megahertz, causing white supremacist eardrums to hurt and take on espionage tactics both covert and overt. See, when the revolution comes, the revolution will divert brothers from chasing skirt and sisters from talking dirt. See, the revolution will be alert to all colors of the rainbow, red, black, and green alert. See, when the revolution comes, Mother Nature will lead in the fight, right? And she'll bring those stars in the days and raise those suns at night. Revolution, revolution, revolution.
Revolution.
Revolution, revolution.
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 Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I love that. I love that. So let's quickly go into your website. Tell me. Hold on. Let me get into it. Into your website. Go to your homepage. What can you show on your website for the people in what you do? Please go to the website. The website is reflectcouture.com. Is there anything that they can look out for?
Yeah, you can look out. On Monday. This is an exclusive actually for BlackIceTV7. This is an exclusive. On Monday we will be dropping something for our competition. So there'll be a whole leap of stuff going out on Monday. And for those who actually, we're going to set up something just for Black Ice. If you put in the code, we'll send it to you. It'll be BlackIceTV7 will be your code, and you'll get a discount. Okay, so we're doing a big discount on Monday, and it's really just to help us relaunch as we start to push out our new designs, which will be coming at the end of February. But from Monday, we start pushing out again. As I said, we took a little month out. And so we will have our new stuff starting from Monday. So some of our stuff will be 50% off. But you heard it here first. On Black Ice TV7. So yeah, we will send out a special code. I'll send it to you, brother, and then you can advertise that.
Yeah, I'll put it on the people when you watch the video again, it will be in the description box. So please do get there very quickly. And if you need to able to contact, you know, to go to the website and fill out your name, email, telephone number, and leave a message, and you know, say that you heard from you heard it through BlackIceTV7, and you know what, you might get something nice, you know, something special. But it's all about spending black and believing black and understanding to being black. But if there was something special that you lot would like to say to the public before we head out, before I do that, let me just quickly go and talk about Sunday. Sunday, we've got the NOI question time once again, part 3. And this time we're going to be having Phoenix. We're going to be having black parent, British parent. We're going to have Paul Obinga. We're going to have Bravo Shing, and they're going to be talking on the education perspective. That will be on our Facebook and that will be on our YouTube on the main channel. So please go to the other channel and check it out, or put a reminder on there so that you can find out what's going on Sunday. Then as we go once again on Tuesday, we do an open platform called True Talk, and we have a discussion on many things. So we're going to be discussing on corporations and things like that, which is a good discussion that we had last Tuesday. So go check that out, and go and check out all the other shows that we've had. And please subscribe to this new channel, because this channel is now going to be our entertainment channel, where we put our music videos and artwork and fashion and whatsoever. So this channel is the new channel, and you're able to engage with that on the entertainment basis, even comedy shows, women discussions and things like that. And look out for the International Sister Circle that we have every Sunday on the main channel, which it has someone from the one of the elders from the community with our women from the group from the International Sister Circle called ISC. So if you're interested, please go to the International Sister Circle website. And that's it. So if our couple has something to say to the public, the floor is yours.
We would like to send out love, light, power to you all. Obviously, you know, everyone's been going through this period. Stay focused, stay aligned to your true purpose. You know, it's time to learn, it's time to grow. Look up your health, your well-being, and you know, if you need to express or out, I'll say have an outlet. Yeah,
value that creativity.
Yes.
I think in these times, your creativity may very well be your outlet. So, you know, utilize it. I know right now people are feeling it on different levels, but there's also being a positive to that, which is people are using their creativity to develop wealth, but also to create a more positive environment for their mindset. So yeah, stay positive, rise up Cicely Tyson, rise in power queen. And yes, give thanks,
Yes.
BlackIceTV7.
That's right.
It's been a blessing. Thank you for inviting us on, and continue the great work, man. Continue the great work. So give thanks.
Love.
As you can see, once again, this is a special one, you know, to our sister Tyson, and her putting her great works into in many years. Because look, from 1924 to 2021, that's an amazing legacy that she has actually put down, from the films of Roots all the way up to films today. That is an amazing work. Go check her out. Make sure you watch one of her films and just have a little reminisce of someone that has put a legacy down especially for our people. So it's love and light, and we're going to love you, and peace out.
Greetings, I'm Nyarai.
I'm in the wall.
We are from Reflect Clothing and Apparel.
And we are most definitely in tune to BlackIceTV7. You can catch us info at reflectshore.com.
Keep your head up. All the shit we been through, I know you fed up. Constant type of pressure, you ain't led up. This country should be happy we ain't teared up.
Nobody love us. Let us not pretend. No. Let us gain our independence and let us not depend. They'll never stop us now. They couldn't stop us then. This country lucky that we only want equality and not revenge. We need to invest in each other. How much you got to spend? If I needed your help, my brother, how much you got to lend? You got a black business, I support you. I'm about black. The block I want us to buy back. I'm trying to buy that. I'm trying not to get shot at in Babylon with a cop at. I need to see an all black Amazon I can shop at. Stop that, cause a black man is king, black man is God. Any black celebrity quiet, that man a fraud. Cause they wanna leave us with no blessings. I seen blacks get beat peacefully protesting, leaving the street bleeding with no weapons, or get COVID treated with no testing. I'm squeezing with no questions.
Keep your head up. All the shit we been through, I know you fed up. Constant type of pressure, you ain't